Alrighty, team, welcome along tonight, and a special welcome to Josh, who is joining us after a challenging weekend at Iron Mouldy. Stu had a challenging weekend with a long ride today. Gareth, I know that eel computer game in Te Papa was probably a challenge for you. And yeah, big weekend all round everywhere. Excuse me, I'm still getting over the dregs of that cold. Tonight's presentation is the Coach Ray method, periodization for long-term endurance gains. This is what I do, the planning in the background to make your training successful and progressive, building towards your goals. I can't cover every type and every scenario in a short presentation like this, but I'll give some examples towards the end. So let's move on through. What we're going to cover today is the origins from Jack Daniel's PhD, not the Jack Daniels that Stu's probably drinking at the moment. Looking at the stages of periodization, foundation and injury prevention, or the FI phase, early quality phase, transition quality phase, and final quality phase, and then moving into those examples. Welcome along, Taylor. Good to see you again. So the origins of my methodology comes predominantly from the books of Jack Daniels, who is an American exercise physiologist, running coach, and coach to many Olympic athletes, including chins. So much so that Runner's World magazine named him the world's best coach. He was an athlete himself, winning a silver medal in the 1956 Games in Melbourne, and then a bronze 4 years later in Rome. Unfortunately, he passed away a couple of months ago, but his legacy continues with the knowledge that he researched and wrote about. Now, he was predominantly focused on running, and I've adapted and modified his principles into a multi-discipline approach, whether we're talking about cycling specifically, whether we're talking about triathlon, obviously running, it's sound and proven. And I've also used it in other examples such as rowing, particularly indoor rowing. So there's 4 phases that we work through. The foundation injury prevention phase. That's where we set the groundwork. We prepare your body for the phases of training that are going to come afterwards. We're going to build up your aerobic base. All the tendons and ligaments get appropriately strengthened and conditioned. If you're a cyclist, they get conditioned to the range of pedaling motion that you utilize. If you're a runner, they get used to the ground impact forces, kayaking, coast to coast, swimming, all these things. You're getting familiar with your discipline. From there, we move into the early quality phase where we introduce some form of higher intensity training. We often include some strength training as well, and I'll cover a lot more detail with each of these phases shortly. If I jump over the transition quality phase for now, and I'll come back to that shortly, we finish up with the final quality phase. This is where we're trying to be as most specific as we can. So those first 2 phases, foundation, injury prevention, and early quality, they're very generic, very generalized preparation. The final quality phase is when we're as specific as possible for the event. If you're doing coast to coast, that's when I'm recommending you're getting out on the course or a simulation of the course. Other events as well. If there's hills involved, we want to be challenging the body as if it was at the event. And so we transition from that generalized through to that specific, and the transition quality phase is the start of that transition, becoming more and more specific to the event. So if we look at the foundation and injury prevention phase in a bit more detail, swimming, we're going to focus on technique development. Lots of drills, making sure we're dialing in everything with our stroke, optimizing that as much as possible so that we can take advantage of that technique improvements through the following phases. We're also building that aerobic base, and you'll notice that aerobic base building comes up across all disciplines for endurance athletes. If you're training for a 100-meter sprint race at the Olympics, we'll be using totally different concepts. So that doesn't apply there. But That aerobic base is the key to your success. Without that aerobic base, you are not going to be a successful endurance athlete. Cycling and running, we're also building up the duration, building up what you can tolerate. And to a certain extent, we're doing that with swimming as well, but with that time focused on technique development. We're not building up the duration or the distance of volume in swimming as much. So looking at the early quality phase, with the swimming side of things, there's further technique development and we continue that aerobic base building. The more efficient we can make your engine across all disciplines, the better you are going to be. That aerobic base building will continue, whether it's as we're still trying to build, if you've got a very poor aerobic base, if you've got a really good aerobic base, we might be looking to maintain it later on in the program. Swimming, we're going to start introducing some intensity. What type of intensity we introduce will be dependent on what type of event you're training for. Cycling, we're starting to introduce that intensity through hill reps. Depending on the type of event you're training for, it might be long sustained hill reps, that might be short high intensity ones. It's going to vary depending on what you're targeting, and the same with running. So this is where we're building in some specific strength work, strengthening up both the muscles with the amount of force that those muscles can contract with, so we can develop more power, whether it's cycling power or running power. As we move into the transition quality phase, we're starting to get into longer intervals. For swimming, we're building a duration. For cycling and running, we're continuing that aerobic base building across all disciplines, and we're starting to move towards those specific race-like paces and intensities that I touched on before. And then the final quality phase, we're starting to include shorter intervals for more speed with swimming. We're continuing to either build or maintain that aerobic base across all disciplines. We're going to include some further technique development with the swimming so we can dial that in, leading right up to the race. The biking and running, specific intensity sessions again. So shorter races, it's going to be higher intensity than longer, more sustained events where that intensity is going to be lower, but not totally low. If we look at a chart of our fitness versus volume, starting from whenever now is, leading through to your event, we're going through the various phases: foundation and injury prevention, early quality, technique quality, transition quality, and then final quality. We're building your fitness up, so we're peaking that. It's as high as it can be come race day. When we're looking at training volume, we're building that up. It peaks before race day, and then we taper off, dropping that volume out so that you're well rested, your fitness and your form comes on nicely and peaks in the last few days leading up to it. We're to look at an example for a long distance event. Once again, from now through to race day, we're going through the different phases, 4 phases listed there. We've got this aerobic base building, the level 2 intensity that we're using throughout the entire build-up. It's key to your development. And you might look at it and think VO2 max is going to make up 80% of the training and there's 20% down here. It's not an indication of the quantity or the volume of the training in each phase. It's an indication of whether it's occurring there and how high the intensity is. So aerobic and training intensity is at the lower end of the intensity scale. VO2 max is at the higher end of the scale. And we're going to be including that high intensity work in the early quality phase. Remember, we might be including this as part of some hill rep work, where we're combining that and getting that strength development simultaneously. As we move towards race day, tempo intensity or level 3 is going to be the key intensity to make sure we've got fully dialed in. And so that's a big step down from the other 2 intensities. So for a long distance event, whether we're talking coast to coast, Ironman 70.3, marathon, even half marathons and Olympic distance triathlons, we have this early VO2 max work in the early quality phase. Transition quality, we put a focus on threshold for when we're doing intensity. Not every session is going to include that. The bulk of the work is still developing that aerobic base. And then finally, for the final quality phase, tempo is going to be the key target there. So what does that look like for long distance events?
Right.
Sorry,
Ray,
Stu?
are you sharing your screen? Because I
Yes,
can't
yes,
see
I
any
am.
slide.
Can
I can't
anyone,
see any
everyone see
slides.
my screen?
I can't see your slides.
I
I
can
can,
see it.
yep,
I
we
can
see
see.
it. You might need
So
to
it
cycle through the
sounds like
people.
there must be a setting there for you, Stu. Did you have a suggestion, Gareth?
Yeah, it might be if you've got the people across the top of the Zoom window, look for an arrow on the side and see if you can scroll across, and the screen might be one of them. Or use the I think there's a view button in the top right.
There we go. Top tip from an IT expert in the middle of the call. Hopefully that can sort it for you, Stu.
Yep. Go for it.
So long distance events. You've got it there, Stu.
Oh yeah, go for it. Yep.
Okay. So there's that previous slide, so you can have a look at the different focuses in each of the phases. So the intensity, we're introducing that during the early quality phase with those higher intensity hill reps targeting VO2 max. Then we progressively become more specific to race intensity. The longer the event, the lower that intensity is going to be. So Ironman, coast to coast, miler, ultra runs are all very much aerobic based with some time at tempo. Whereas an Ironman 70.3, depending on what sort of position in the field and where you're placed, what time you're likely to finish, is going to be a lot higher proportion of tempo compared and contrast if you're doing an Ironman or a coast-to-coast type of event. So to use an example, Ironman 70.3 New Zealand, which is in Taupo on the 7th of March 2026, it's 18 weeks away. What I'd do, and this is a generic sort of breakdown here, based on your specific situation, where your strengths and weaknesses are, I might adjust this 1 to 2 weeks either way so we can focus what needs or what is going to be best development for you. But a typical breakdown might be 4 weeks in the foundation and injury prevention phase from now over the next 4 weeks. The early quality phase, once again, another 4-week block from 1st of December through to the end of December. Transition quality, we might be looking at a 6-week block of that from the 29th of December through to the 8th of February, and then the final quality phase over those final 4 weeks leading into race day from the 9th of February. If we're looking at a shorter distance event, we've got that aerobic focus still right through the whole program, but things are flipped around on their head. We're going to start with that tempo work, building that intensity slowly and progressively so that we finish the final quality phase with that higher intensity, which is more race specific for the shorter events. A 5 or a 10K race, maybe even a sprint distance triathlon. When we start getting into that middle sort of gray area between, it's not really fully short, but it's not really a long event either, the sprint distance triathlon. Some people it's going to be taking just under 2 hours for that, whereas others will be, elites are doing that under an hour, but the average person is going to be doing it in a bit over an hour to a bit under 2 hours. An Olympic distance triathlon, some fast age groupers will be doing that under 2 hours. Most of us will be pushing it out over 3 hours. So they are long events, but they're not as long as an Ironman or an Ironman 70.3. So there is a bit of a grey area depending on where you fit in the spectrum of things. And it might mean that we start with the tempo, finish with the threshold in your circumstances for one of those middle of the road events. But this slide here, targeting a 5K or a 10K, we're going to start and work through aerobic base building the whole way through. Going to have a focus on tempo intensity during the early quality. We're going to step it up to threshold through the transition quality and finish with that higher intensity VO2 max so that we're bringing on that top speed right at the very end, specific to the duration of your event. So if you're targeting a 5K, that VO2 max will not be quite as high and it'll be sustained for longer than if you were targeting a 10K. So the intensity is built up. We're going from that tempo through the threshold through and finishing at the VO2 max intensity for the main focus for any intensity. Doesn't mean it's the exclusive focus either, especially if you're in a cycle event where there's a range of intensities, whether it's a mountain biking or criterium style, where we've got that high end speed. But if your tactics are to try and break away from the bunch, we might put a bit more of a focus on threshold during that final quality. So it's targeting what is specific for you. Let's have an example of the City to Surf, which is 19 weeks away. That's in Christchurch on the 15th of March, 2026. Very similar build up to the previous one, with 4 weeks in the final in the foundation and injury prevention phase, 5 weeks in the early quality, 6 weeks in the transition quality, and then 4 weeks for the final quality. So that initial block from 3rd of November through to early December, the early quality from the 8th of December through into early January, transition quality from the 5th of January through into mid-February, and then we've got those final month leading into the event. Any questions? What we'll do, we'll work through based on how they're laid out on my screen. Stu, you were first on the call. We'll start with you and we'll work up my screen. Just remember to unmute yourself and then you can talk and ask any questions.
Yeah, no, mate, I'm all good.
Okay, thank you. Josh, welcome along. Any questions from you? Haven't heard anything come through. It's showing you as muted still, Josh. I'll move on to the next person, but I will come back if you need to unmute and ask any questions. Gareth.
Just one quick one. Do you tell us when we change phases?
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I'll often within a training plan drop them into, whether you're on Training Peaks or Training Tilt, drop a note in your training plan. But I've got it used to be Excel, it's now, what's it called, Google Sheets. And so I'm checking that constantly. And I don't always put those notes within Training Tilt or Training Peaks. If you do want to know when those phases are for you, let me know and I can make sure that they are dropped into your respective application that we use for your coaching plan.
For me, yes, please. It will help with my mental commitment.
I will write a note of that right now. Anything else from you, Gareth? Or you did say one quick question, but if you've got another one,
Nothing
or
else.
that's opened up another one.
Nothing else has sprung to mind yet. If somebody else asks something, maybe it'll jog my memory, or I'll think of something.
Come back round a second time. Andrew.
That explains it really well, Ray. What's an example of aerobic building is just like time at level 2. Is that really?
Yeah, any level 2 session, even not threshold, tempo sessions, level 3 workout, you're starting to get a crossover benefit. It's at the higher end of the range, depending on how it's employed, how much rest is involved. It can have more or less of that aerobic efficiency development. I tend to use them sparingly, but yeah, I do use predominantly level 2 training. It does come through occasionally.
Oh, cheers. I've got to go back to.
I see you've come back on there, Josh.
Yeah, sorry,
Any
mate.
questions from you?
Can you hear me all right?
I can.
Oh, sorry. I've never used Zoom before, so I was trying to figure out. It said my microphone wasn't active, but I had to leave to turn it on. Sorry about that.
That's fine.
Yeah,
no dramas at all.
I've been listening in the whole time, but I was trying to tutu with it at the same time, so apologies there.
Yeah, no dramas.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Thanks. Yeah, Friffa just sent me the link. She's said that she's out on the farm, so she couldn't make it tonight. Hence why she's not popped up on the screen. I'm not sure if she's told you earlier, but
yeah, she did. She sent me a quick message.
Oh, cool. No, I appreciate that, mate. No, much appreciated. Cool, thank you.
Yeah. Do you have any questions from the presentation?
Yeah, the slide seems really good. Just looking at that, I I heard someone mention something before about the Training Peaks program. Is that
Yep.
something that you use on your coaching application? Is it?
Yes, I do. So I use a
Okay.
couple of different platforms. I use both Training Peaks and Training Tilt, depending on what you're wanting out of your training.
Yep.
And they both cost me. They cost me different amounts. So
Yeah,
people
sure.
looking at that higher end performance, I often will put on the Training Peaks. Having said that, Training Tilt in the last year and a half has just come on in leaps and bounds.
Okay.
Cam, he's a New Zealander. He's developed. I catch up with him occasionally, usually when I'm up in Auckland. That's someone I should probably catch up with in a few weeks when I'm up there. Um, yeah, he put an amazing amount of work in, and it's so much more powerful than it used to be. I'm thinking of basically using that as my primary, well, it is my primary platform now, but using that for all levels in the not too distant future. So, yeah,
Okay.
that's
Oh,
a
that's cool.
fantastic product.
Oh, no, brilliant. Yeah, no, it's all
But
pretty new to me, so I'm just trying to get to grips of what's available out there, really. So, no, that's cool.
yeah, I'll send you a message through Fritha after the call, and we can maybe catch up and have a chat about things and make sure you're going in the right direction.
Yeah, no, that'll be good, mate. That's sort of hence why I'm on this call at the moment. It's just I was hoping to try and catch up with you at some stage and that via whatever platform and touch base about going forward from there. So no, that's cool. Cheers for that.
Perfect.
Cool.
No dramas.
Beauty.
All right, we'll move on from you. Taylor, any questions?
Hello. No questions from me. Just listening in to try and get myself motivated to keep running.
Sweet. You've been doing well. I know you've had a stressful week. I did get your messages there. I do need to dig into that and have a look at your training. I haven't had time this evening putting the presentation together, but
No,
I
that's
will be
okay.
doing
It's
that
not a dig
shortly.
at you. It's like just, yeah, me trying to get my head back in the game, really.
Yep. No, I didn't take it as a dig, so apologies if that came out like that. Yeah, so I've got a few people's training to catch up with afterwards, and Andrew, yours will be caught up tomorrow once we've had that session, and I've got some fresh data. As always, I do go through everyone a second time in case further questions have popped up, and then, or if totally unrelated questions to the presentation, and you've just got some totally generic or general questions. So background to you, Stu.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a training tilt person, so for Josh, I can tell you that training tilt's absolutely fantastic. The app's really good, the website's really good. Training Peaks I had a bit to do with years ago, and yeah, training tilt's pretty sweet, eh? It's a good
Cool.
system. Yes.
Thanks, Stu. Appreciate the info there, mate. Yeah.
Since how you're unmuted, Josh, we'll jump onto you. Anything else that you think of that you want to ask whilst I'm here?
Not really. Like, obviously, the goal was just to try and get into the triathlon world, due to a bit of neighbourhood pressure, like Safrifa and that. And I'm really enjoying the process. Probably more so enjoying the training, even though it's not really structured that well. I'm just sort of going off what I'm learning online and from other people. So it's this is all pretty new to me. But obviously, I did the quarter and the weekend, and I was just wondering, like, I want to push through to something a bit bigger in March with the 70.3, but I'm just not sure if I'm going to have the time to fit in all the training to get in between work and family life and that. So it's more like a balancing act, trying to figure out that obviously I'll have to jump up in hours of training. So it's just sort of
Yeah.
going from there, just sort of structuring something around lifestyle, really. That's probably going to be my biggest concern.
Yeah, that's not a drama. And pretty much everyone else on the call tonight are family people, or
Yeah,
they've got
sure.
other commitments. They're all full-time workers, and they're all recreational athletes. They're not out there trying to win the world championship or anything, although Jonesy is always trying to get on the podium, whatever he's doing. Just because you're not an elite athlete doesn't mean you can't be competitive. And Stu's also highly competitive in a lot of things as well. He's got defending his championship in a couple of weekends' time. So, um, what I'm trying to say is that everyone is training around other life things. And to successfully complete an Ironman 70.3, you don't need to be doing a massive volume of training. I've successfully coached people to do Ironman events on 10 hours or less per week of training. Now, it's not optimal to get the best performance out of it, but it's achievable to achieve your goals based on a minimal or limited amount of training. I work on the philosophy of not what is the most amount of training you need to do to complete an event. It's what's the minimum you need to do to complete the event. And that way we can target the training so you can get the most out of it and not lose that quality time with your family, not lose productivity at work. All those sort of things are important for recreational athletes that I coach. So yeah, the big thing is you don't need to do massive volumes of training. And I understand Frith mentioned that you used a generic training plan from one of the major well-known international coaches, who a lot of those generic plans are over-engineered and work. And I'm not saying this is specifically his case because I don't know, but a lot of those generic plans are over-engineered because they know that people won't do all of it. So they bolster up the volume so that people that do a larger portion of it are doing about what they need to be doing, as opposed to having a little bit more coaching input and guidance with the training to keep you on track and make sure you're achieving what you need to.
Oh no, that's good. That's I did read into that a little bit, and it does sort of tailor like it's a big blanket cover, more or less of an individual thing. And it doesn't really specify for each individual person. It's more of a blanket cover, the one that I was going off, and a lot of it just I couldn't physically do with the hours in a week. So it it's just something that needs to be a little bit more tailored, would probably suit. So that's cool.
Yeah. What we'll do at the end of the call, if you just stay on the line, I'll send you a link through the chat function where you can book a coaching call with me.
Okay, perfect. No, that sounds good. Thanks, Ray.
And Josh,
no dramas.
Wanaka, 2026, Quick Kiwi Coaching. We've got a group of us all down there. It'll be a good lead up for your March training.
Oh, cool. So when in Wanaka did you say? Is it sort of must be early in the New Year's, is it?
21st, I think it is. Ray will confirm that, but it's going to be the best exercise trip that we've ever been on.
Yeah, no, I'm always down on something sneaky. No, that's good. Good on you, Stu. Cheers for that, mate. Good.
Yeah, February 21st, 2 weeks out from Ironman 70.3. So if you are focused on Ironman 70.3, I probably wouldn't recommend that. But if you haven't locked anything in, it's an alternative to consider. But
Okay.
we'll discuss that when we catch up a bit more. Moving on to Gareth.
Thank you. I just wanted to add, Ray, you're not full of it. He speaks the truth. He's so good at juggling all of the other commitments within our profile. Myself personally, I'm running 2 businesses. I've got a family. I constantly get sick, and he's somehow managing to get me through to a half Ironman. So, he's so good at juggling all of those things that come up and making your training work around your life. So you're in the right place, mate.
Brilliant. Appreciate that. Cheers, Gareth.
Cool. And on that note, my question was related back to the original thing. When you're doing these periodization segments, do you adjust them based on our compliance in the previous segment? Do you sometimes look at it and go, yeah, he's really not done a good job of that segment. We're just going to stretch that one out a bit more.
Depending on what sort of coaching service you're on. So those that are on the higher tier packages, I absolutely do that every single time, because I don't think people very rarely get through a build up without getting sick at least once. If the phase is 4 weeks long and you spend 2 weeks of it sick, we haven't really achieved much in that phase. So it's a case of stretching it out, looking at what I reduce and where I reduce it, whether it's in the next phase or one of the later phases, is going to vary based on what the event is, what your strengths and areas where you're challenged most in are, and what you need the most development on for success in that event. As opposed to similar to what Josh has been on with another coach, where if someone was just to buy a structured plan, 15-week long build up, there it is, it's in their profile. where I'm not analyzing it, then no, that doesn't necessarily get looked at. But if you're part of the Quick Kiwi team or squad overall and have purchased a training plan, and you say, hey Ray, I've been crook, can you look at this? Of course I'll look at it and just modify it on the fly for you. So the short answer is yes in 80% of the circumstances. 20% of the circumstances where I'm either unaware that you have been sick based on the platform or the plan that you're on. But if I was to become aware, that's easily modified. That answers it for you, I hope, Gareth.
Definitely does. Thank you.
Perfect. Jonesy.
Nothing to add apart from agreeing totally with Gareth's comments. Josh, Ray's got me from a broken down farmer to 3 one-day coast to coast, so he's a legend. Yep. And we have a lot of fun on velocity too. It's great.
No, appreciate that info and insight too. Thank you very much.
How do I get unmuted?
Yeah.
Don't go telling them about velocity. We've got enough people in there chasing points already, all right? We don't need another one in there.
Do you have a smart trainer, Josh?
As in like the bike trainer? Yeah, I do. It's a Wahoo. Yeah, kicker
Okay.
core. Yeah.
Sweet. When we catch up, I'll tell you about velocity and set you up with a trial, and you can come do a few rides with us.
Okay. Shut up.
Oh, the Wahoos aren't good, eh? The calibration's not there. Your points will be suck full in it.
Yeah, and I've deleted all the points, Stu, so there are no points going forward, so don't stress about that. Taylor, moving on to you, and you're like, what's this velocity and smart trainer stuff? I'm not a cyclist. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Take up cycling.
No, 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 thank you. I barely even took up running until Ray was like, so do you still want to do that half marathon? And yeah, that's where we're heading. So nothing really to add, just, yeah, maybe I'll get the momentum going again. 1 month until I hand in my thesis. So yeah,
Some big pressures coming up there. So as we discussed a couple of weeks ago when we last caught up on that quick phone call. Sweet. Well, that's the end of everything tonight. Thank you for your time. Thanks for coming along. Welcome, Josh. If anyone does have any final questions, feel free to stay on the call and ask me. I will dig out that link for you, Josh, and send that through to you.
Cool. Thanks, mate.
Cheers, Ray. We'll catch you during the week.
Yep, we'll do. See you Tuesday morning, probably Tuesday evening as well.
Yep. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Tuesday. It should be fine. Josh, get your trainer set up. Join us on Tuesday morning. You'll absolutely love it. It's a bit of banter at 6 a.m. and you'll realise why we call Andrew the goat.
Oh,
M.
he's a dead goat. Stu, what flavour chips are those, Stu?
Ready salted, because I need the salt from the 100k ride, and the gin is from the Reefton Distillery.
thanks, Ray. Hopefully we'll catch up soon about where my things are at. So yeah, I'll see you when I see you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
sweet. All the best.
Thanks.
Josh, I've just dropped that link into the chat. If you just go into the chat and press the link now and just save that somewhere so you can access it again, or just book a call for tomorrow. Things are pretty free tomorrow morning. So, or not tomorrow morning, but tomorrow overall. So depending on your availability, that could potentially work.
Yep. How do I find the link? It's
so on Zoom, there should be a little bit of a menu somewhere where there's a chat button.
oh, okay. All right. Shit. Yeah, I see. Oh, yep. Down the bottom here. Okay, cool. Sweet. And I just I'll screenshot that or something, or click it and it should go into it, should it?
Yeah, click it. It should open up, and then you can just save that and go in and have a good look, find a time that suits later on. This week's I'm pretty fully committed, and coming up I've got some limited availability towards the end of the month, but the first couple of weeks is really, I'll say, limited, apart from tomorrow.
Okay, mate. That's sweet. We'll make tomorrow work. That's probably the best time for me anyway, because you just the working hours. I leave it. I'd love to do the morning stuff, but I leave for work at 3 o'clock every morning. So, and I get home about 5 to 5:30. So it's just those times on that sort of days are pretty. I think Monday would work fine. So if you're happy with it, it'll be cool.
Sweet. There's bookings available through to 8 o'clock tomorrow night.
Okay, mate. Perfect.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Sweet.
Cool.
All the best. Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Thanks, mate.
Easily done.
Cheers.
I'll let you go now.